Hi, I'm Jackie at Bloom Property Management. I want to tell you a little story about a client of mine who was not very happy with their current property manager and just felt that things were not happening in the same quality that they were hoping for. And turns out that their tenants weren't happy either. It was two flat property, upstairs and downstairs, and there were a lot of issues. Anyway, they take me on and I go and inspect the property and I chat with the tenants first, and both lots of tenants were like, oh, why are you coming on board? And I'm like, well, honestly, the owner's not that thrilled about how management's been going of the property and they'd like to do better. And both lots of tenants went, thank goodness, we feel the same. And yeah, no, they weren't the greatest and they never seemed to do anything that we needed. Everything took a long time and their tradesmen weren't very good. And yeah, we're glad to be rid of them, but you sound lovely, so we're really happy about that. Of course, that was very flattering to me, and I was pleased to hear it. But yeah, I wasn't at all surprised. The handover was difficult with the previous property manager. They were very reluctant to give me the most basic information that I needed. So that to me rings alarm bells. What are they hiding and why? Anyway, I get to the properties and I do the inspections, and the tenants had already given me the heads up on a lot of things that were outstanding for them because I asked for it. My job is to maintain the properties so that people can live in them comfortably, and it maintains the value of the asset for the owner too. So win-win. So I get to the property and there's a considerable amount of mould in one of the properties, and the owner had no idea. And I'd spoken to the tenant about it and she said that it was dirty when she moved in, and I received the initial inspection form that indeed confirmed that. You know, it was so bad that at the bottom of the initial inspection form, which recorded photos of the place being dirty and comments about the property being dirty, it said cleaners have been arranged and sent. I asked for information about that and they never sent it through. They just sort of went, cleaning was arranged. They didn't say what was arranged. So that was problematic. So I've been sorting out with the tenant about that, but in the meantime I'm looking at things that fundamentally could be causing mould, because it didn't seem like these tenants were the root cause of that, because I had evidence that it was dirty when they moved in. And I heard from the downstairs tenants that the previous tenants weren't great. They had a lot of people in the house. They were constantly being disturbed. They got to the point where it's like it's either them or us that have got to go. Unfortunately, them went. So looking at the property, it's like, let's go back to fundamentals, what needs to be done. So we had the plumber come out and he cleared the gutters, only to find that the downpipes were blocked solid. And then when he cleared those out, he found that actually it was just discharging onto the ground. It didn't seem to have any plumbing for it to go into, and so all this water had been pooling under the house and causing issues with dampness. So that's a huge issue. So that got resolved. And then we had him check out the waste pipes, because the kitchen sink was slow to drain sometimes and it wasn't just a simple thing a plunger could solve. And he found the sewage had been blocked, also an issue. There was a big tree on the property that had been, no doubt, getting its roots into this system, and it hadn't been addressed at all. So that was a fundamental. The tree had been trimmed back because it was interfering with power lines, but not about the fact that it was overhanging the house. And when it was trimmed, the gutters hadn't been cleaned as part of that follow-up, so should have been done. Anyway, looking at the house, looked at the range hood, and that was venting into the living space. It was ducted to the outside, but there was a setting on it that made it duct interior rather than exterior, so it was acting like a recirculating filter rather than extracting to the exterior. And the exterior was really plugged up, so I just cleaned that while I was there. It didn't take long. And then I hadn't realised that there was a switch to switch it over. If I had, I would have switched it. I got my electrician out there for that and a couple of other reasons, and he just flicked a switch and that problem was solved. Suddenly all this moisture is going outside where it should be. And I asked him to look at the bathroom fan, because there was no timer on that. You switch on the light and the fan comes on, and you switch off the light and the fan goes off. Timers on bathroom lights are fantastic because they extend the period of time the light is on. So once somebody showers, it might keep going for another 10 minutes, say, to thoroughly clear any moisture out of that room after the room is vacated. And so I was getting them to put a timer on this, and the type of fan it was, they had to go up into the ceiling space to redo wiring onto the fan, and they discovered that the fan was quite a new one, which was great, but the ducting was still attached to the old fan, which was just sitting up in the ceiling space. So the new fan was actually ducting straight up into the ceiling, which is illegal. And the old defunct fan, who I don't know how long it was defunct for before it got changed, but anyway, that was still sitting there with ducting attached to the outside. What is going on? And when I contacted the owner about it, I was like, please tell me that wasn't any tradie I know. I don't want that to be on my conscience, that any of my guys would have done such a poor job. And he said, nope, that only happened in November. This is February. I'm talking to him about this. So he paid almost $400 back in November for a job to be half done. Good news is it was an easy fix, but it was so fundamental, and it's just this back to basics stuff that really makes a big difference to the property. So suddenly we've got bathroom fan extraction actually going to the outside, which will very much be helping with moisture issues in that property. Easy win, cost very little to get the plumber out there, the electrician out there. So fantastic, good stuff. And thank you to my tradies for being amazing tradies who would never do a job like that, because you've got me to answer to. I may seem sweet, but I have a standard and I expect it to be met. So if you've got a problem where you've got problems with moisture and mold in your property, make sure you check the fundamentals, go back to basics before thinking about big heat recovery, ventilation systems and that kind of stuff. There's often the really simple things that may be causing the issue in the first place, or certainly not helping, that can be addressed first, very cheaply, very quickly, for almost instant results. So I do lots of hints and tips like this on my videos, so stay tuned for more.